Hello, everybody, and welcome to Church at Home with Rachel for Monday, the 8th of September. We have lived through the first week of September. Kids, whenever they started school, whether it was in August or this past week, have all had a good week of school, and here we are. We're into the swing of things for the fall. As I think about September and all of the things that September has always held for me, all kinds of new things, all kinds of possibilities. I was really keyed into the school year, so this September was the beginning of my year, so to speak. I really love to think about all the possibilities, the hopes, and the dreams. And the older I get, the more courage I have to try new things and to dream about those wild new things. And I was reading the other day in my devotional a couple weeks ago from Celtic Daily Prayer. Day 29 has these two poems. I'm going to start with one and then talk about the other one as well. The author for the first poem his name is Joel McCarrow. He says, as the tamed horse still hears the call of her wild brothers, and as the farmed goose flaps hopeful wings as his sisters fly overhead, so too perhaps the wild ones amongst us are our only hope in calling us back to our true nature. Wild ones who have not been turned to stone by the far-reaching grasp of the empire and its program of consumer sedation, the killing of imagination. Where, my friends, have the wild ones gone? It's a great question. I was just having a conversation a while back with my vice chancellor, the lawyer, one of the lawyers for the diocese, and we were just chatting about generational things and how things have changed, and how how not wild the younger generation seems to be. Everyone's scared. Everyone's waiting for this moment of, they want a warning. We were talking about, in particular, someone expecting a trigger warning before a sermon, which I'd never thought of before. Probably not going to do. However, there might come a time. But this idea that we are bubble wrapping our society, we are making sure there is no wildness left, there's no chance. Listening to young people talk sometimes, there are lots of young people out there who are wild and crazy and have new ideas and all kinds of energy, and they're brave and they're courageous. But there seem to be a whole lot of young people who are terrified, who are going to stick to what's happening. What is the leader of the group say? Mother, may I is the game played. May I do this? May I do that? Always asking permission, always falling in step, absolutely being single file, holding the rope as the kids walk across the road of the daycare, things like that. This idea that we have become so tame, and that within us, like those tame horses and those farmyard geese that look at the wild mustangs riding or running wild in the fields, and the geese flying overhead, and those ones down below thinking, yeah, I wonder what it would be like if, and then recognizing that that will never happen. Those geese are never going to try to fly. Those horses are never going to jump the fence. They're just going to do what they're told and follow the leader, and everything will be just fine. And indeed, it will probably be just fine. But I'm wondering, as we head into a new school year, as we look at the world around us and recognize that everything's pretty much up for grabs. The Canadian politics, the Canadian society has changed so much in the past 10 years. We're definitely to the south of us, things have changed. The European Union, the fact of the European Union, Brexit, looking at the emerging economies coming out of Africa and places in South America, places that people like when I was growing up, we thought of this the place where we had to, eat all our food because there were Ethiopians starving somewhere. Never occurred to me there'd be in Ethiopia. And how me eating my food changed all that, I don't know. Packing up bales to send them to the north or send them to Africa so they'd have clothes and things like they didn't already have clothes. We have changed. Our world has changed. It's changing so much around us. We're at the perfect point where we could say, where, my friends, have the wild ones gone? And then not just stop with the question, but jump right in and say, well, we need to find them. Maybe we need to become them. I'm thinking about a week or so ago, I read an article about the fact that in Edmonton, in Edmonton, Alberta, the school board was removing like 200 different books, banning these books from their libraries and the curriculum, um, like *Handmaid's Tale*. Margaret Atwood, for one thing, is a Canadian author, and she absolutely should be in a Canadian school curriculum and a Canadian school library. But also, her *Handmaid's Tale*, it's coming true. Like, it's prophetic. It's speaking truth, and we need our young people to be able to read it critically, not read it as if it's, food for the soul and we have to be nourished by it, but to learn how to read critically so they understand that when artists speak, when they write, when they sing, when they paint, when they sculpture or sculpt, I think that's the verb, there is something that is within them. The Spirit is speaking to them, calling them to speak a word of truth to the world. And when we start banning their art, when we start saying, you can't listen to that, you can't read that, then we run the trap of falling into what's happening to the south of us. I'm not trying to be political, I'm just saying it's happening. And unless you are a billionaire, I wouldn't want to live there. I like our society. I like being able to go to work. I love being able to vote. I like our health care, all those things. I like that if I decide not to be wild, I'm still safe. I also like to know that if I decide to be wild, I'm not going to get arrested for it unless I do something actually illegal. Like, I mean, there you go. Maybe we need to look at our younger generations and say, we need to train in some wildness. The second poem says, it's written by Guillaume Apollinaire. I apologize if I've pronounced that wrong, but he says, come to the edge, he said. They said we are afraid. Come to the edge, he said. They came. He pushed them, and they flew. I think that we're there, folks. We need to hear God saying, come to the edge, come to the edge. Trust me. God will push us. God will push us off the cliff. But God also knows God's given us wings. God also already knows we have the gifts that we need to live into the wildness. We can be wild. We can do this. We can do the things that make our hearts sing. We can do the things that free others to make their hearts sing. We can do this. We can fight back about banned books. We can stand up to people who say you can't do that because I said so, and say, yeah, I don't think so. Because we have been given that gift of wildness that actually is lying dormant within us. But we are still connected to those original beings, those original people, Adam and Eve and the generations that came after, who knew what it was to be pioneers, who knew what it was to challenge authority, who knew what it was to say, why not? So what? What's the worst that can happen? We need to reclaim our wildness, folks. The world needs us. The generations coming after us need us to reclaim our wildness. So how can you be wild? I'm not sure yet how my day will be wild, but I'll find something. I'll do something or say something or read something that's wild, and I know my world will be changed for the better for it. How about you? Have a great day. God bless you, and I'll see you tomorrow for Church at Home with Rachel. Have a wild day, everybody.